And I think, Spencer, what we need to, take away from this is that the guys who are usually at the service of Tadej Pogačar have to take the opportunity when it gets presented to them. And Tour Down Under is one of those great opportunities. So I think Jay Vine prepared this race to perfection. Already won the Australian Championships time trial also, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Which is usually hard fought title. There's a lot of good time trialists in Australia. So I'm not surprised. I think Jay Vine is probably the highest quality rider in this field, or at least of all the top GC contenders, the best prepared.
Everybody, welcome back to the Move Plus. I'm Spencer Martin. I'm here with Johan Bruyneel. We are going through the cycling news of the week. The main thing being the kickoff of the World Tour cycling season with the Tour Down Under in Adelaide. We've had four stages technically, a prologue plus stage 1, 2, 3. We'll get into that. We'll talk about a few things like Jay Vine's power numbers. Is he a future leader on that team, or are we just seeing the finished product of Jay Vine? As well as a few other things like where to watch cycling in the United States in 2026 and a few questions. But Johan, as we get into the season, what have been your first thoughts? Were you surprised that Ineos was the winner of the first World Tour race of the 2026 season with Sam Watson on the prologue? And I don't think anyone's been surprised about Sam Welsford winning a sprint, but I would say the takeaway so far is UAE seems to be picking up where they left off. I mean, that was a clinic on stage 2 on corkscrew climb. They just destroyed everybody. What did you watch it? What did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch it live, of course. I watched the replay. Well, I mean, Sam Watson winning the prologue, I think, it's quite unpredictable. In this field, it's the first race of the season. There's a consensus amongst all the teams that, it's such a far travel, so no time trial bikes. And Sam Watson's an explosive rider. So I thought that was a great win. Not a surprise, in my opinion. There's also not real prologue specialists. If these guys still exist, I don't know if they still
It's
exist.
kind of Sam Watson. Remember Tour of Romandy? He shows up. He finds out like the night before he's doing the race, 4-minute effort, and he wins that prologue too.
And then Anders Lund winning the first stage, the sprint. That was, I'm not going to say a surprise to me. It was, it's somebody. It's one that flew completely under the radar. I had no idea he was on Decathlon.
I had no idea either.
But great win for and great win for that team. Great lead out also. He beat Welsford and Brennan, I think, right?
Yeah, which super impressive second place there from Brennan, and not really a pure sprinter. And this is for the biggest of the big sprinters size wise, and he gets second there. That's impressive.
Yeah. And then, the key stage, which is now finally going to be the decisive stage anyway. It was already decided with that kind of gap, when Vine and Narvaez went away on corkscrew climb and finished with almost a minute, 58 seconds, I think. So obviously in Tour Down Under, that's decisive. And with the level they've shown on stage 2, and we could talk about it now. We just got news that tomorrow's stage is altered, that there's no Willunga Hill in the stage. What are they going to do it 2 times or 3 times? I don't remember now.
I think it was 3 times.
Yeah. No, I seem to remember it was 2 times normally, but now it looked like they were going to do it 3 times. There are reports. it's extremely hot, up to 40 degrees. In Adelaide, and I've seen reports that there was a risk of fire. Quite windy also, so very hot, dry, windy. I don't know if the risk of fires are true or not. But we got the news that they took out Willunga Hill out of the course, so it's not going to be a decisive stage. So Tour Down Under is decided unless there's something, an accident or mechanical that happens. But yeah, I mean, listen, these guys, these two UAE guys were above everybody else. I did watch the climb, and it was impressive that, first of all, they took control of the whole stage. They reeled in the breakaway. Then Adam Yates set a pace with Jay Vine on the wheel, and everybody else was on the limit. And the only guy, when Jay Vine opened the gas, the only guy who could bridge up was Narvaez, who is super explosive, won the race last year, but was on the limit until basically the last few kilometers, couldn't take a single pull.
Yeah.
And I think, I think that difference in level is kind of what we should expect, I think. Jay Vine, obviously high quality rider, won stages in Grand Tours, won, the mountain jersey in the Vuelta, and is a great climber. Plus he's Australian. It's his home race. And I think, Spencer, what we need to, take away from this is that the guys who are usually at the service of Tadej Pogačar have to take the opportunity when it gets presented to them. And Tour Down Under is one of those great opportunities. So I think Jay Vine prepared this race to perfection. Already won the Australian Championships time trial also, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Which is usually hard fought title. There's a lot of good time trialists in Australia. So I'm not surprised. I think Jay Vine is probably the highest quality rider in this field, or at least of all the top GC contenders, the best prepared. You could argue that Ben O'Connor is a high quality rider. He is, podiums in Grand Tours. But I don't think this is the main objective of Ben O'Connor. And so, and especially, those kind of climbs, 2, 3, 4 kilometers, that's like Jay Vine written all over it. But yeah, I mean, it was an impressive display of dominance of Team UAE, and I can only imagine the morale of the rivals and the rival teams. Like, hey, what? I mean, here we go again. They pick it up where they left it last year, and we just started the season. They already have 4 victories, Team UAE.
Yeah, we're about 4 days into the season. They have 4 victories.
2 of them is Isaac Del Toro winning the Nationals time trial and road. But yeah,
because that technically counted as 2026, even though it happened in 2025.
It did.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, Jay Vine winning, not that shocking. I would say though, the thing that really blew me away was Jay Vine attacks, and you could see it coming. Adam Yates is on the front. I was a little surprised there wasn't more of a battle for the wheels, because Jonathan Narvaez moves up. He knows what's coming. Jay Vine attacks, and that bridge from Narvaez, that's bold. I mean, normally when you have a teammate away, you're in a group, you that is risky, because he could have pulled someone with him, and no one could even follow Narvaez. And then Narvaez gets up there, and you're right, he was on the limit, and that's a climb that suits him. He's a very good rider, and he was really, really struggling. That tells you how strong Jay Vine was. We were throwing some numbers around before the show started. They have these, people, very smart people on Twitter will put out numbers that they normalize them to, I believe, 70 kilos plus the weight of the bike. So it's a little bit higher. Like the whole corkscrew climb, about 12 minutes, was 7.3 watts per kilo, 7.8 for the 6-minute steep part. That, just in layman's terms, is about, I did my own calculation. That's like 530 watts for 6 minutes on the steep part, about 500 watts for the whole climb at 12 minutes. That's not easy to follow. But Johan, were you surprised so those 2 guys get away? That's a bad situation if you're a rival. And then there's this group behind. They're doing the tough guy, like, now I'm ready to bridge. Now I'm going to attack. They're all attacking each other. Of course, Adam Yates is sitting on the back. None of this is going to work. Should they have seen this coming, or there's just nothing they could have done?
There's nothing they could do, Spencer. I saw an interview of what's the guy? It's another Australian. I don't know if he's Australian or New Zealand. What's his name? Harry Sweeney.
Harry Sweeney. Yeah, very good rider.
He is he Australian? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. he gave an interview and he said he was up there. I mean, he was in that second group, right? He was up there on the climb, and when they could only watch them take off. He said the moment Jay Vine accelerated, he was doing 600 watts. What else do you want to do? There's nothing.
He said he thought his power meter was broken.
Sweeney was doing
numbers are so high.
Watts, not Jay Vine. He's a bigger guy. Obviously he's heavier than Narvaez and Jay Vine, but still, I mean, I don't know. He's probably not more than 70 kilos. So yeah, I mean, you just sit there, you're on your limit, and all you can do is, okay, watch them disappear in the distance. Listen, at the end of the day, I don't think we should be surprised. It is the number one team in the world. They do hire the best riders. They train like crazy all year round. We've seen them, Spencer. We've seen them. I mean, you've been at their training camp.
Yeah.
We've seen them train. It's full gas all the time. And especially the guys who have their planning and their own ambitions in the beginning of the season are super well prepared. I think it's logic has been respected. We have, in my opinion, the strongest rider in this Tour Down Under field in Jay Vine, and last year's winner, Jonathan Narvaez. I mean, there shouldn't be anybody surprised that this happened.
You know what's funny about the Tour Down Under? In years past, let's say a decade ago, I would have said, what a mistake for Jay Vine to be the strongest early.
Too early.
But you look at the last few years, as you said, Jonathan Narvaez wins. He had a great year. Javier Romo gets second, great year. Oscar Onley, fourth. He had a great year. Year before, Stephen Williams wins. Has a great year. Narvaez, Del Toro, Onley, all those guys had really good 2024s. Like, this is not. How do you explain that? Why did it used to be bad to be so strong at the Tour Down Under, and now it feels like it's indicative of someone that's about to have a good year?
I mean, listen, if we see the intensity, cycling has changed so much, like the way they train in the off season now, it's just, you can't compare it with, and you can't compare it especially with cycling from the 90s and the early 2000s, but not even from 10 years ago. When I look at the guys, follow a few guys on Strava. The other day I saw Paul Seixas training camp there on the Costa Blanca, 250 kilometers, 8 hours on the bike. Usually you would think, hey, are they crazy? Why are they doing this? Why is this necessary?
Yeah.
But they are always at such a high level. And I think, the way everything is monitored now, you can actually, the only thing that, in my opinion, is a risk is that you train so much and that you're always on top and you get sick. That's the only thing. But a dip in the curve of the condition, we don't see that anymore. Pair that with the fact that they don't race that much. They do very little races. That nowadays an athlete is able to train at a higher intensity than a race would be normally, a preparation race. Tour Down Under, for example, it's an easy race for these guys. It's short. It is fast, true, but it's easy compared to the workload they're doing in their training rides. Yeah.
And they're like Paul Seixas doing big rides. You might see that on Strava and think, oh, it's like winter base miles. No, they're doing these at the intensity is really high, almost as high as this race. Probably they're probably training less hard at the Tour Down Under than they would at their training camp, at least volume wise.
Oh, for sure. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. They might be doing extra rides after the stage to get in more time.
In that heat, it's not. I don't think it's that recommended either. You just see. I think you should see it as a few, short, intensive training sessions. The speeds are high at Tour Down Under. It's 48, 49 kilometers per hour.
Yeah. On the heat, a couple interesting things. Well, it fundamentally changes the race because today was Wollonga Hill. Not going to happen tomorrow, whatever. I never quite know what day it is during the Tour Down Under. But the next stage 4, was going to be Wollonga Hill. I love Wollonga Hill. That's my favorite day of the year. I'm sad it's not happening. But that was, if Jay Vine was going to be challenged, that was it. But I found a profile, the revised profile, and it looked like it's kind of an uphill sprint finish. I wonder if that, because Narvaez is 6 seconds back, but if Narvaez wins the stage, is it possible he ties or overtakes Jay Vine if Jay Vine doesn't get in the top 3 because of time bonuses? I'm curious to see that. But they moved the startup an hour to 10 a.m. You don't see that often. I do think that's a good idea. A lot of times when these...
For the heat, I think it's great.
Yeah.
The stages are going to be, 2.5 hours, 3 hours max?
Yeah, it'd be like 3 hour stage max. Yeah. So you finish at 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be hot at 1 o'clock, but, it's better than having to race between 12 and 3.
Yeah. If this was the Vuelta, they'd be like, we're going to start it at 2, hottest part of the day. It'll finish right before dinner. Everyone will have dinner at midnight. So this, I actually thought this was, it's like, this is how the UCI Extreme weather protocol is supposed to work. They've made some sensible decisions here.
Yeah. No, I think, if it's really 40 degrees, moving up the time is a great decision. Then, we have these reports of, risk of wildfire. So it's a pity for the cycling fans. Everybody wants to see Wollonga Hill. It's become, a benchmark, the trademark basically of the Tour Down Under, right? And then, we always compare the times over the last 10, 15 years. Of course, they get faster and faster. But now it's not going to be there. So it's not going to change anything in the GC. I think, the dominance of those two guys has been shown. So if it would have been Wollonga Hill, it would have been more of the same. Wollonga Hill can be more of a tactical finish, at least in the past. If you go too early, you could pay for it. But the way this was set up, I think normally if it would have been on Wollonga Hill, it could have been interesting for deciding who of the two wins the GC, because if it's on Wollonga Hill, I think the chances of Narvaez were really big to win in the sprint. Because he can't just. He could stay behind Jay Vine and not try to win the stage, but you want to win the stage, so you want to try to win the stage also. But I do think, however, that there's a general consensus within UAE that Jay Vine has to win this race, should win this race. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Well, yeah, Narvaez could have won that stage on stage 2. Would have been a bit of a scumbag move to sit on and out sprint it, but he clearly gave it to him. They want him to win. It's important I imagine important for Australia to finally take. I think the last Australian to win this race was Jay Vine in 2023, if I'm not mistaken. But Jay Vine, great talent, big. Just to give you a sense of the domination we're seeing here. So first place is Vine. This is after not even after the Wollonga Hill stage, which is usually the big time gap stage. Narvaez second, 6 seconds. Mars Schmidt is third at 1:05 back. Here's the time gap between the winner and 10th place in the last few years. 10th place overall. 47 seconds last year, 50 seconds 2024, 113 2023, 54 seconds 2020, 40 seconds 2019, 24 seconds in 2018. And it's 1:05 back to third place currently. Mm-hmm. That's how much better Jay Vine is than the rest of this field. With this information, Johan, and you just said he's time trial national champion of a very good time trialing country. Jay Vine's 30. Is he going to get more chances in bigger stage races, or is this kind of the finished product? Jay Vine wins stages at will at the Giro and the Vuelta, wins the Tour Down Under, maybe challenges at a Romandy sometimes, or is it time to maybe make a change for him?
Didn't he win Romandy last year?
I think he did not win Romandy. Hold on one second. I thought he got beat by Almeida. I could be making that up.
Yeah. In the time trial. Yeah. I think this is Jay Vine top. He seizes his opportunities when he gets them. To be the leader, there are no guarantees. He's never finished on the podium of a Grand Tour. Never finished in the top 5. I would think, off the top of my head. I'm gonna guess that he had certain chances already, But the thing is, within UAE, there are always riders that are just a tiny bit better who have already been podium riders in Grand Tour. So I think this is great for Jay Vine. He can rival with the best in the 1 week races, which is already not easy. And then in Grand Tours, normally on UAE, he will always have a leader that he has to be at the service of, and then has the opportunities to win stages. I mean, I think it's a great situation for him.
I agree. I agree. I think he should stay. I think this is a great situation. But
he's gonna stay. Don't worry. He's gonna stay. He knows it's good there.
But to argue, I do think he does. And having spent time around the team, it doesn't feel overly anal retentive. It is not relaxed, but there's a levity there, perhaps, that there wouldn't be at another team. But so Jay Vine is this good, very good. He's up here. So someone like Ben O'Connor, probably making a lot of money as a team leader for Jayco Alula, might not be as good as Jay Vine. Should a team get real, like what would Jay Vine be worth in the open market as a GC leader? And do you think he's making that at UAE?
He's probably not making that at UAE. The question is also, and I don't know the answer. I don't know Jay Vine personally. Is Jay Vine a personality who can deal with the pressure of the leadership? Does he want that? That's
a good question.
Right? I mean, logically would say, well, okay, Jayco, Australian team, they have Ben O'Connor as their leader. Okay, fine. He can do well sometimes. Sometimes he doesn't. Would it not be great to go after a guy like Jay Vine to be the co-leader? There is place for 2 GC riders on a team like Jayco. That would be the logical move, right? I mean, if you have this great Australian rider, you want to have him on your team if you're an Australian team. I'm going to guess that there has been attempts already to get Jay Vine from Jayco Alula to get him to the team. Whatever they pay to Ben O'Connor, I would say Jay Vine is worth that same value.
And we're probably talking 1.5 to 2 million euros a year.
I think it's north of 2.
North of 2. That's a lot of money. I mean, you must be right. I mean, Jay Vine must be happy because you're right. This offer must have been made, and we have to assume he's turned it down because he's still there. Here's my next question. Is it good for the sport that Jay Vine's on UAE? If he's on a team that's not UAE, he goes to the Giro, he goes to the Vuelta, he's actually fighting for the GC. Does that make it more exciting racing?
Well, I mean, the question is, can he fight for GC?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The thing is, what other team can a rider like Jay Vine go to? Okay, you could say, you know what? He could go back to Alpecin Premier Tech now. They don't have a GC leader. He comes from there. Great team. Is he going to deliver with all the pressure of the team on his shoulders? Is he going to deliver a top 5? I would say, the top 5 candidate for a Grand Tour, right? We're not going to talk about podium because he's not shown that yet. And then it's one of those riders, Spencer. He's a great rider, super good rider, but he may be ambitious for a podium, but most likely he's not going to be on it. And then the question is, are teams really interested in a rider like that to really invest heavily to try? It's not a project anymore. He's 30 years old. If he would be younger, you could say, okay, we're still going to discover his potential or the ceiling of his potential. I think with Jay Vine right now, I think Jay Vine is at his top. He's in a great team. Obviously feels great there. I don't see any reason for him to look or consider anything else.
We say with teams to be interested, but teams were just tripping over themselves to pay millions of dollars and millions of euros in transfer fees for Derek G.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's
not that much younger.
I think if my information is correct, it's still a considerable amount of money, but it's not Ayuso money which is 10 million, or Oscar Onley, which is reportedly 6 million, the transfer sum. And Derek G is reportedly 1.2 million. it's a lot better than the 30 million that Sylvan Adams was claiming. So, it is an investment, of course. If probably signs 2 or 3 years, you can spread it over those 3 years, makes it 400,000 a year. With the budgets that these teams like Little Trek has, you can say, okay, you can justify it, right? A rider like Jay Vine would cost a lot more to get him out of his contract.
Yeah, because he's making a lot of money. And with Jay Vine, the thing I cannot get past is, and maybe don't tell him, just sign him and be like, hey, we want you to win stages. You should try to win every stage. Don't even tell him he's going for GC and he'll do fine. I mean, he has a style. He just puts his head down and he just puts his head down and goes, and must be sitting 500 watts for as long as he wants on these climbs. It's unbelievable.
I was watching him, Spencer. So he basically did all of the pulling. You could see in the body language of Jonathan Narvaez that he was hanging on for dear life.
Yeah.
Whether he wanted it or not, he could not take a pull. I think Jonathan Narvaez started pulling when the road went downwards a little bit. Other than that,
he liked the momentum of the road and arrow position took him forward. Yeah.
But man, I was surprised to see that Jay. I mean, luckily for the rivals. But man, he's not very arrow on the bike. He sits up really high. I was thinking, man, if you go a little bit more arrow, you even go faster.
Right off the front of the Tour de France.
Yeah.
Maybe Pogacar saying, hey, you should set up higher. But my 5-year-old son was noticing the same thing. He was like,
really?
why is that guy so un-arrow? Like, well,
You're teaching him early.
It's becoming he is obsessed with Remco and his position. He's like on the trainer now every day, like trying to get as arrow as possible.
Are you getting him on the trainer?
He comes home from school and he insists on riding his trainer for 45 minutes every day.
Oh, wow. He's what, 5 years old?
5 years old. No one tell him this, but I ride Zwift and he thinks that he's riding on Zwift.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I have to try to match his cadence. So don't tell him that he's not the one riding. But yeah, it's unbelievable how good at time trialing and climbing he is. And is not, I don't know if I've ever seen this, a rider that good at the two foundations of GC riding that is not a serious GC candidate.
Well, let's not forget, Spencer. I mean, we haven't talked about this. I hope it doesn't repeat itself, but Jay Vine has had a lot of crashes.
That's true.
Already.
Yeah.
People say, he's not able to ride in the peloton, and I think that story is not true. It's there's no foundation to it. Jay Vine has this reputation because he won the Zwift Academy and then he got the contract on Alpecin, that he was a Zwift rider. He was not a Zwift rider. He was a cyclist in Australia. He did road races, happened to win the Zwift Academy, but he was not a pure Zwift rider. I think we need to make sure that story is put straight. But yeah, I mean, he came relatively late to the European peloton, I would say, and I think he struggles still with positioning and with maneuvering in the peloton. If at 30 years old you haven't learned it, you're probably never going to learn it. But hey, he's still a good enough rider and has enough power to win bike races. So, pretty good.
How old was Primož Roglič when he won his first Grand Tour? Would have been the 2019 Vuelta?
Was that his first Grand Tour?
Well,
when?
I mean, won the Giro one time in 2023, and he's only won the Vuelta and the Giro, right?
Yeah.
So he was 30 years old when he won his first Grand Tour. They kind of remind me of each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Roglič was the same way. I couldn't believe how I was like, man, I've never seen someone this good at time trialing and climbing who's not a GC rider.
Primož had already been fourth in the Tour, right? Before that.
Yeah, he did 1 year of the Tour where he was just hunting stages and he won that stage. And then he got like 38th overall. Then he comes back. Well, I don't know, actually.
He was fourth.
Yeah, fourth in 2018. Yeah. Yeah. Fourth in 2018 when Geraint Thomas wins. Interesting. And then 2019. Do you remember who got fourth at the 2019 Tour de France? It's going to blow your mind.
Julien Alaphilippe.
No, he got 5th.
Oh,
Emmanuel Bookman.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I would not have guessed that.
No, the forgotten fourth.
Where did that guy disappear to?
Exactly. Yeah. What planet did he go?
He's
off
on Cofidis, no? Now?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard sometimes when Rolf Odeg would give interviews, I'd be thinking, do you know that the mic is on right now? He said something. He was like, yeah, I know he's gone. Like, he's welcome to swing by if he needs a Red Bull by the team bus, but he's on another team now. This is the least sad I've ever heard.
Well, now Albert can say the same, because he can go to ask for Red Bull because he's not there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I like Odeg.
He's back at Canyon women's team.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Jay Vine was on Alpecin. That is they just immediately snuffed out. This is not a good fit for us. We don't.
Well, he did leave with a contract still in place.
Do you think they just thought, well, he's gonna cost a lot of money, and it doesn't really fit our one-day goals?
I don't know. So, I mean, they probably. I mean, there are buyouts also that we don't hear of.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm thinking. I mean, knowing the brothers Rutuf, they will probably have done business there, and good for them. It makes sense,
and reinvested it back into the stage hunting and one-day empire they have. But let's take a quick break, Johan, and then we'll come back and talk about UAE's potential new rival, the Ineos Grenadiers. Are they back? As well as some questions. Everybody, this episode is brought to you by Hims. You've got places to be. Sitting in a waiting room, waiting for hair loss treatment is not one of them. Hims makes expert care accessible on your schedule so you can skip the line and focus on feeling like yourself again. Hims offers convenient access to a range of prescription hair loss treatments with ingredients that work, including chews, oral medications, serums, and sprays. Hims can help since doctor-trusted ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil can stop further hair loss and regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. And Hims thinks you shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself, which is why they bring expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. No hidden fees, no surprise costs, just real personalized care on your schedule. Think of Hims as your digital front door that gets you back to your old self with simple 100% online access to trusted treatments for real health concerns, all in one place. So for simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/themove. That's Hims, HIMS.com/themove for your free online visit. Again, hims.com/themove. Featured products include compounded drug products which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Everybody, this episode is brought to you by Caldera Lab. And what makes Caldera Lab special is they make high-performance skincare designed specifically for men. You might think, why do men need their own skincare? Well, get this. I didn't know this before this. Men's skin is 25% thicker, oilier, and ages differently from women's, which means men need clean formulas engineered specifically for their biology. Their easy-to-follow 3-step regimen is powered by clean, clinically tested ingredients and breakthrough patent-pending technology, and it delivers visible results. The steps are very easy. Step 1, the clean slate. It's a cleanser. Cleans dirt, oil, sweat, and buildup. Very easy. Comes in a great glass bottle. You feel fantastic after using it. Step 2, the great is their serum. Their hero product uses advanced renewal technology to reduce wrinkles, firm skin up, and improve elasticity. And step 3, the hydro layer, the moisturizer, my favorite. It's a lightweight, non-greasy moisturizer, locks in moisture all day and gives you a healthier, more energized look. And what pushed me to try Caldera Lab is the fact that I needed the schedule. I need this structure. I just didn't realize it before I started using it. And their 3-step routine is clean, simple, and actually works. As I said, I love the hydro layer. Can't get enough of that moisturizer. I might have a low-level addiction to it. So get a small habit with big results. Go to calderalab.com/themove and use code THEMOVE for 20% off your first order. That's calderalab.com/themove for 20% off your first order. All right, Johan. So yeah, Jay Vine probably has this thing wrapped up. This is just everyone pretend this is our post-tour down under show, because I don't think we're going to need to come back on Monday and talk about 3 sprint stages that probably will be won by Sam Welsford or Tobias Lund Andersen. I was surprised, as you say, Tobias Lund Andersen, no idea that guy was on decathlon. That was a big win. Sam Welsford wins last night, gets back. This guy is as close to a Tour Down Under specialist as you can get. I believe every one of his World Tour wins has been at the Tour Down Under. He kind of reminds me of a U.S. crit rider. Guy is massive. It's impressive that he can get over any climbs. He is very strong, but he's on Ineos now. Sam Watson on Ineos. Ineos has 2 World Tour wins. I believe that's more World Tour wins than anyone else, because there's only been 4 World Tour races so far this year. What do you make of this? Is Ineos back, or is this just playing the early season game better than they have in the years past?
They're not back to where they were once as the dominant team, but there's definitely been a shift. You can see that. The way they have. I mean, they did whatever they could to contract riders. I mean, obviously the big signing of Oscar Onley. We'll still have to see how that works out, but I mean, they're definitely racing differently, right? They're
always on the front foot, even at this. You notice it at this race.
Yeah, they're aggressive. They're in breaks. They are proactive. I think what they lack for the moment, short term, is just the quality riders. I mean, they do have good riders. Some of those young riders may actually also step up and make big progress and come to the forefront. But for the moment, I think it's safe to say that they're not going to rival with UAE. I would not even with Visma. I think Little Trek. I think those 3 teams are still, and then you have Red Bull. So they're in the top 5. But they're not in the top 3, in my opinion. Not yet, or not. They can get there again, but it's going to take at least 2 more years.
Actually, a rider I would like to see on that team is Jay Vine. That just big engine. Let's see what he can do. I mean, Oscar Onley, that is a big addition, but part of me is thinking, what can that guy do? Like that's a big year to back up. That young, but I mean, he was good throughout a lot of last year. Maybe. I think it's really about building foundation, because right now I don't think anyone's under any illusion that they're going to be better than Pogačar and Vingegaard when at races that they're good at. So it's really just thinking like who's going to be the best when they're not at their best, and hope that it's not Isaac Del Toro and it's just not a rerun of what's happening right now.
By the way, speaking of Ineos, Spencer, now seeing it in the bunch and on TV, I actually starting to like their uniform. It's not as bad as it looked at first when they first presented it. I said, what is this? But actually, when you see it now, I like it. It's a bit of a new identity, I would say, but it's pretty cool.
And it really goes to show you how hard it is to design these kits, because there's multiple facets. There's how does it look in a picture? And then how's it going to look in the bunch when you're bent over, different angle, you're moving really fast. I think it matches. The bikes look really good combined with those jerseys. Yeah. The off-white shorts, I still like. I don't know.
There must be something behind that. I don't know. Anyway, we'll give another opinion after the Spring Classics when they've been riding in the rain, the mud, But speaking of uniforms, Spencer, and this is something I've been wondering, as long as I've been a team director and manager, and still as of today, 27 years later, I still can't get my head around the fact that these teams are not in communication with each other over dominant colors of their uniform. Like if you look, for example, you have Groupama, you have Decathlon, now you have Bahrain. I mean, it's all in the blues, and it's so difficult to distinguish. There should be some kind of consultation. I mean, and especially, I can understand if you're bound to a certain color because the corporate colors of your sponsor, right? But for Bahrain, for example, that's not the case. I mean, they went from red to white to now blue. There's some Bianchi influence in there, but it looks all so blur. These three teams, and I'm sure I'm still missing another one in the blues. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I agree. You're totally right. I think that's probably one of the reasons Ineos has such a distinctive jersey. I will say I owe an apology to NSN. That might be my favorite jersey.
I've liked it from the beginning. I've liked it from the beginning. It's unique. It stands out, and I think it looks great in the peloton.
It looks really good. I think they should, to add some spice to the promotion relegation rankings, take the UCI rankings at the end of the year. The first place team gets to draft a primary color. And no team can have the same primary color. And then so if you're finishing last, you're getting last picks on the primary colors. I think that would make a more interesting looking peloton. I do think it's too much crossover.
I mentioned Q36.5. Also, it's blue. Also blue. It's blue going towards. I would say maybe a little purple. I don't know. It's but anyway, it's again blue. So I don't know, man. There should be some kind of judging going on, or some kind of filter that on the other hand, then there's maybe teams that say, hey, we don't want to be prominent, we don't want to be a flashlight in the peloton, we want to keep it classy, so in that case everybody can do whatever they want. But if the Grand Tours have put out this rule that you can't have a uniform which is close to the leaders' jerseys. You can have yellow in the Tour. You can't have red in the Vuelta. You can't have pink in the Giro. And then I guess now also the other colors, like the green and the white jersey. I think that's also becoming a norm now, that you can't have anything which is similar to that. So, why can't they do the same amongst the teams?
We could be running out of colors, though. You can't do green, white, polka dot.
No, yellow, red. There's always ways around it, right? You can invert your colors. I remember when I was, back in the days already, when I was riding for Once in the.
Yeah, they would invert them. I remember that.
Yeah, but in the Tour, for example, we were riding. We couldn't be riding yellow. We were riding pink. Yeah. But then there was also some teams that, back in the days already, there was, I think, was it Gitan? I think Gitan, they did one year, they had yellow jerseys and black, and then all of a sudden they had black and yellow.
Yeah. I think Cervelo Test Team did that too. They went white. They were black and white, and they went white and black for the Tour.
The Tour, yeah.
Because it's less hot, I guess.
Yeah, that was the thinking behind it.
Unclear if no one's ever gotten back to me with what is the science on that? Are black jerseys actually hot, or do they take the sun away?
No, black is hotter than white for sure. I've seen tests on helmets, for example, and it's massive, the difference in temperature. It's a very, very big difference.
It does kind of feel like you could cook an egg on a black helmet at times. Speaking of teams with great jerseys, Astana, XDS Astana had a great 2025, staved off relegation. This time last year, I was saying these guys are doomed. They're going to get relegated. The big question for me was, well, do they go into 2026 and they're on the back foot again? No, because they won a race. There are other races going on. I'm going to be honest, I didn't know this race was happening. Johan had to tell me about it. Classica, what's it called? Classica Camp de Vedre?
Yeah, it's in the Valencia area. First European race. Actually, it's a 1.1 race, so not a World Tour race, or not a. I would say, is it third level race?
Yeah, because Dot Pro is second. Dot One is third. Yeah.
But anyway, win of guess who? Scaroni.
Yeah. if you didn't get to watch the race and you had to guess who won this, you would guess Christian Scaroni.
Scaroni, picked up where he left it last year. He was amazing in the spring of last year. Like all these races, he was very dominant. And starts straight away winning again. So I think I think it's a good sign for Astana that they're going to keep that level. I'm hearing a lot of really good reports about their equipment. Actually, this XDS carbon manufacturer and their X-Lab bikes seem to be really, really good. I mean, have gotten a lot better.
Yep.
I've seen a report somewhere of their climbing bike, which is apparently like the lightest one on the market right now. Then you have the 6.8 rule for the UCI, so it doesn't really matter that much. Almost all the brands can nowadays, if they use the right components, they can get to 6.8 kilos, I think. But yeah, I mean, listen, Astana, chapeau for them. They keep the level from last year, and this is definitely a great start for them.
Yeah, really good start. And if you want to build a good bike, sponsor a team. The bike's not going to be that good the first year, and then you're going to learn a lot. I actually underestimated how much these bike brands learn from the team until I went and checked out Colinago and UAE. And then, as you notice at the Tour Down Under, these head tubes are growing by the minute. Like, head tubes are just getting longer and longer, like thicker, I guess, deeper.
Yeah.
Because it's all about, as you say, almost everyone can hit that 6.8 kilo weight limit with an aero bike. So I think you're just going to see more and more and more aero bikes. I went and weighed UAE's Colinago, just the one you would buy off the shelf. It wasn't that much over 6.8 kilos. So it's safe to say they're probably hitting that weight limit with their stock team bikes, because they put titanium bolts and things in there that we probably wouldn't run if you're not the weight and size of a pro cyclist.
I was at a place, Spencer, a bit over a week ago in Marrakesh, visiting somebody who was riding bikes, a triathlete, and he showed me a bike. It was 5.4 kilos. It was unbelievable. I mean, it was obviously with a lot of special components.
Yeah.
But it was a very well-known brand, and he brought it down to 5.4 kilos. Man, that's insane, and very safe to ride, actually, because one of my friends rode the bike there, and he said it was great.
Someone at a bike brand, actually I forget the brand, told me that if the weight limit wasn't there would be no aero bikes in pro cycling, because everyone would be riding 11-pound bikes. Because they can just make these so light now. Do you think they should remove that, or how do you feel? It doesn't, because it hasn't changed in a long time, and bikes have gotten a lot lighter.
Yeah, I think the 6.8. Listen, I think there has to be some kind of limit, because otherwise, I remember when there was no limit, Spencer. When, for example, when I was on Once, I've ridden bikes that were lighter than 6 kilos in races. We had our director Manolo Saiz, who was, very proactive and a pioneer in a lot of things, and always wanted the best equipment. And it's for certain stages in the Vuelta, for example, a mountain stage. All of a sudden in the morning, the mechanic had done something special to our bikes, and I said, "What?" And then I looked, all special components. The question is, if it's not regulated, it's gonna get unsafe. There needs to be.
Yeah, that's true.
Limit. I do think the 6.8 kilo limit is there already for a while. I mean, I think it should go down to 6 kilos for sure. It would still remain safe, especially with the way the material is made now. And it also, if the weight limit of the bike actually makes not much sense if you don't. I mean, you have riders of 75 kilos and riders of 65 kilos or 58 kilos, and they have to ride the same weight bike. So I think there should be. I mean, there's a lot of other sports that it's actually like in Formula One, for example. I think it's the seat and the pilot, the driver, actually, that has to. I think it has to be 80 kilos. The seat, which is obviously removable, and the driver. So I think there should be something around that, like rider and bike together.
Because if you're Nairo Quintana, you're extremely penalized because you're weighing your body weight. Your bike is a massive percentage of your body weight relative to someone like Filippo Ganna.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and you have the same weight bike, which doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
and I think I'm a little worried too. I mean, after you can see these teams that work really closely with bike brands, and they can make these aero bikes that are so fast relative to someone like Cofidis, who is probably just riding a bike that they can get that someone's going to pay them to ride. And I'm a little worried the weight limit's going to increase. It's actually going to increase a disparity in equipment because really well-funded teams can just make super fast aero bikes that not everyone has access to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is obviously the rule that, every piece of equipment that the pro cyclists are riding in races has to be available commercially. So I think that's the case. I mean, even those special components. I see, for example, Pogacar, even if he rides a Colnago, he has special customized components on his bike, the seat post and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously a team with more resources would be able to have a lighter bike. So I think that's why I say, okay, I think 6.8 is fine, but times have changed already. It's been over 25 years now, this limit. Material has gotten stronger. Any bike brand could probably make a 6 kilo bike if they really want to.
Yeah. And you have some, UAE can go to Colnago and say, build us this bike. Like they've even built bikes that are specifically designed for Pogacar's preferred riding style. Mm-hmm. But if you have Merita's your sponsor, they're gonna say, no, we're trying to sell a bunch of bikes here. We're not. Do we? Who are you? We didn't even know we sponsored a team.
Well,
some of these,
yeah. I mean, Merita is obviously a big brand. I think is it Merita and Giant who are the two biggest ones?
Yeah, I think they're the two biggest brands in the.
Or the biggest manufacturers, I would say, because they manufacture for a lot of other brands.
And Merita owns.
I can tell you, Spencer, if any bike brand has the resources to sponsor UAE and Pogacar, they're going to do whatever he needs. They're going to make a special bike for him, whatever he needs. Then you have the question, okay, how do they make it available for the public? That's also it depends how you see that, right? I mean, you can put it available to the public, but whatever. I mean, if you make 3 bikes of Pogacar and you make 3 others to put in a shop and you ask 20,000, it is available to the public.
Yeah, technically it's available.
Nobody can buy it, or nobody wants to buy it.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing too are these 3D printed aero bars on the time trial bikes that's where it starts to get weird, where they're making like 5 of them and they aren't really for sale. Also, correction on myself. Sam Welsford has won 8 World Tour races. 7 are at the Tour Down Under. 1 is at the Renui Tour in 2023.
Oh, okay.
So he has won World Tour race. It's not that. But Johan, questions for you. Question time. Jingle. It's like a little jingle. Question time. First question is, where are you watching these races? You're in Spain. You watch it on HBO Max and you get the whole calendar on there?
Down Under is on HBO Max, yeah.
Okay.
I'm hearing that there's a potential change again because Eurosport, I mean, HBO Max is basically Eurosport.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what happened. There's been a redistribution of several channels. So I'm just waiting to hear, but for the moment it's HBO Max, sorry.
And it's really confusing in Europe because some countries it's HBO Max, but then in like the UK, they don't have it's not on HBO Max. It's on TNT Sports or Discovery Plus is the streaming service, all owned by the same company, Warner Brothers Discovery. And that could get more complicated because Warner Brothers Discovery is trying to be purchased by, I believe, Netflix, but Netflix is not buying the sports vertical. That would be spun off into, like, Eurosport would be spun off into a separate, they call it like Shitco, I think is the technical name for it, because it's just low growth brands that are going to trade terrestrial TV brands that will trade at like a lower multiple than hopefully the Netflix assets were. But that I think would pull a lot of the sports off of HBO Max, which then it's not clear where it leaves us. We might be like the UK where we're all paying $50 a month to watch cycling. Wouldn't be great. In the US, I published a piece this week called Where to Watch Cycling in the United States. Not as easy as you're not just firing up HBO Max. Like the Tour Down Under, what we're talking about, that's on Peacock. And in general in the US, ASO races plus a few oddballs like Tour Down Under are on Peacock. ASO is the promoter of the Tour de France. So the rule of thumb is French race, Peacock. Think Paris-Nice, Dauphiné, which isn't the Dauphiné anymore, Tour de France, Vuelta a España, which is not in France, but it's owned. That race is owned by ASO. That's all on Peacock. Peacock's a very good service, about $110 a year for it. You get a lot of stuff on there. If you like other sports and reality TV shows, you're going to be in heaven. Flow Bikes has the Flanders Classics races. So Omloop Het Nieuwsblad, Tour of Flanders being the biggest one, Gent-Wevelgem, Amstel Gold, which is now in Flanders Classic, Tour of Romandy, and then a few oddballs like Romandy, Suisse, and the big one is Flow Bikes also has World Championships. Well, there's a workaround because they have the whole calendar in Canada. There's a workaround I'll come to in a second. This is where it gets complicated. The other races, the RCS races like Strade Bianche, Giro d'Italia, Milano San Remo, in the past were on HBO Max. Right now, HBO Max has nothing on its cycling calendar for 2026 outside of Challenge Mallorca and a few cross races. Unclear to me what is going to happen with those. They probably safe to assume they will renew those rights and the Giro, Strade Bianche, but we're like 7 weeks away from Strade Bianche and we don't know where we're supposed to watch it in the US. That's not great. Probably will be back on HBO Max. So you can get those three services. You're going to pay around, I tallied it up here. It's around $450 a year for those services. Here's a workaround though. You get Flow Bikes. What I usually do is I have Flow Bikes. It's $150 a year. It's a little expensive, but it's got a lot on there. And you use a VPN just to say you're watching from Canada. So no matter where you are in the world, you're just watching that Flow Bikes feed of every race. It's basically the workaround because if you want to get an HBO Max account like Johan has, you have to have a bank account or credit card from a country that has the full right. So you'd have to get a French bank account, a Spanish bank account. Would be quite complex. There probably is a way to do that and spoof it online. But really that Flow Bikes workaround is the cheapest one, I think. But yeah, Peacock, Flow Bikes, HBO Max. We'll put a link to I have a big chart with all this in there. We'll put a link in there. But complicated, and then we'll let you know when we hear about where is Strade Bianche and Milan San Remo and the Giro d'Italia airing in the US. So that's it's complex, but we'll all get through it. We'll get through it together. But first real question, Johan. This is from Jonathan. And this is simple, but I think it's actually helpful for us to talk through it.
What's the last name of Jonathan?
Jonathan Milan. I don't want to give people's last names away if they didn't.
What's the first letter?
M.
Okay, as long as it's not a V, I'm answering.
I'm a part-time announcer on HBO Max and a full-time team manager. Why is it advantageous to have a rider from your team in the lead group when your GC contender is in the peloton? They have an example. Why is Bob Roll saying it's helpful for Wiesmann to have Wout van Aert in the breakaway when Jonas is back in the peloton?
Mm-hmm. It's always, listen, first of all, it's always good to be represented in a breakaway, at least if it's a substantial breakaway, not in a TV break. A TV break means, it's 3-4 guys up the road just for TV time, knowing that they're going to get caught. If it's, a bigger group, it's always interesting to have a guy up there. Why? For many reasons, but usually it happens that the break is far enough ahead. And when the big war starts in the peloton amongst the favorites, they get ahead of the peloton, the favorites altogether, but they still have the breakaway up front. So you have a teammate up front, which normally cannot follow the rhythm when the war between the big guns is happening in the peloton. So that's the first reason. One of the big reasons also is if you're represented in the break, you have no responsibility to bring the break back. That's the second reason. And then the third reason is whatever happens, you can always call that guy back. Whereas if something happens, if hell breaks loose and your teammates are dropped from the main group, which happens almost all the time, you have a guy up front who has a head start basically. And when it really matters or the leader is in trouble, you can call him back and have a support rider, where otherwise you wouldn't have that guy. And usually the guys who go in breaks are the guys that would normally get dropped when the big battle is going on.
The super famous example of this is if you're wondering this question and you want to see it represented, it's Wout van Aert stage 20 of the Giro d'Italia last year.
Yeah.
He would not have made it over the Finestra, gets in the breakaway, gets over, is there to pull Simon Yates. And it's like what Johan is saying. He's powerful. He's important to have. He wouldn't have made it over with Simon Yates, but because he's in the breakaway, he does. You also can descend into almost madness. There's even more layers to this where you could think, well, let's say there's a GC rival in the breakaway, but you have a teammate in the breakaway and that guy is not going to work. So then it starts to, sure, in a perfect world, everyone would say, just ignore them and let's work. But it's not really how it works. A rider sitting on a breakaway can cause a breakaway to fall apart. It mentally crushes people because they say, well, why would I pull if this guy's sitting on and he's just going to win this? I'm not going to pull him to a stage win. He's going to drop us if we pull him. Mm-hmm. So you can also almost break a breakaway's will by having a rider up there that's not working if you need to. Like think about Sepp Kuss. He wins the Vuelta because he's in that break. Ladu Soudal's chasing. Maybe if Ladu Soudal has a guy in that break, it makes it more complicated. Probably wouldn't have helped in that scenario. But
yeah, plus if you have a guy in the breakaway, Spencer, let's say there's a rival GC contender in the break. Another advantage is obviously your teammate is not going to work and is going to actually instigate other riders also not to work. And all the weight of the breakaway gets on the favorite rival GC contender, who then has to do a lot of work, wears himself out, and will pay for it at the end of the stage.
Yeah. There's actually when you start to think about it, there's very few downsides to being in the breakaway.
None.
Just in general. So it's always good to be in the breakaway. Unless you're a GC leader, then you shouldn't be up there because you're going to probably get dropped later in the race. So question number 2. I actually was wondering about this too. You guys have discussed strategy. This is from Brett Bittner. I assume not related to Pavel Bittner. I hope so. But you've discussed strategies for creating riders' racing schedules for the year. I would also love for you to explore how the directors sportifs create their schedule. Are they expected to be on the road for almost the entire season? What factors determine which races Johan went to? Was there ever an issue with directors not wanting to be on the road so much? Also, me and my buddies were wondering what your take is. I've not proofed the second paragraph. Let's hope it's okay. What your take is on cyclists, past or current, who were infamous for their ability to suffer and really dig deep. Maybe not always the top cyclists, but the ones who could really go into the pain cave. But I often wonder this about the. What's that?
What's the question? That second part. What is the question exactly?
Which cyclists do you know that were able to go deepest into the pain cave?
Okay. Yeah, I have a really good example. Let me start with that one. I actually had lunch today with an ex-colleague of mine, ex-Tour de France winner from Spain. And we discussed this guy. He was my teammate, Alex Zule. I don't know if you remember that guy. Alex Zule.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, he won the Vuelta twice. He was twice second in the Tour. I got together with him at Once. I mean, it was early 90s, so a very long time ago. But I have never seen anybody who could suffer more than that guy. That guy could, first of all, he was incredibly strong, big champion, world champion time trial also. This guy could just ride until he literally, after the finish, fell off his bike. I mean, I've seen many finishes of mountain stages or time trials, which, he either won or had to defend the leader's jersey. And the soigneurs knew already they had to be at the line because they had to basically catch him. He just fell off his bike. He went so deep, he just fell off the bike.
Crazy.
And it was not a show. It was real, the ability to just go beyond where you just go blind. You don't see anymore. You can't breathe anymore. Just, really gasping for air. I've never seen anybody who could go deeper than that guy.
It's a crazy Palmares, by the way. I didn't realize he won this much.
He was really good. Yeah.
Wow. 2 Vueltas, Paris-Nice, Tour Swiss, 2 stages of the Tour de France, Catalonia overall, World Championship time trial, 3 stages of the Giro, 2 times second at the Tour. Oh, he was second in 99. Yeah. Okay. I often wonder, is this mental or is this a physical gift some people have where they can almost maximize their engine versus some people, they never seem tired. You're like very talented, but they never seem tired. Like they almost can't push into the reserves. I wonder about this all the time.
No, I think it's something unique. I mean, like if you can really go so deep that it's not given to many people. To go through the pain and then basically go beyond that pain where your body says stop, and being able to stay at that pain level for a very long time. I think that's probably what makes the difference between the good and the great.
What is Alex Zula doing now?
I know he's riding his bike a lot because we follow each other on Strava, and he rides a lot and he still rides very fast. He hasn't slowed down much.
Yeah, I would imagine. Did you know his last team was Phonak? A long career, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then how did they decide?
Oh, the directors. The directors.
How much are they on the road? It seems
they're crushing. It's changed a lot also now, Spencer. I remember, when when I started with Postal, we had 2 directors and 2 directors for the whole season.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
what?
Yeah, 2 directors.
Who were the directors?
Me and Johnny Wells.
Oh my! I didn't know that. There's 2 of you.
And to the Tour de France, I went on my own. I swear to God, I went on my own, and the team manager, the general manager, was Mark Gorski. Who was not usually a director, and so he drove the second car in that first Tour de France, and then the days that Mark had to take care of VIPs, like sponsors were coming, he just didn't drive the car. We had a mechanic driving the second car.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, there's different days, right? But
different days, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, nowadays there's a lot of directors. So the calendars are not that big for the directors. I think they do like 60, 70 races probably a year, unless you have, already riders ride 60, 70 days a year. So usually it also goes, every director has their own specialty and their group of riders, right? And so you have lead directors and then you have assistant directors. So it usually goes together with the program of the rider. If you look, for example, Pogacar's program, it will always be André Hauptmann, who's the lead director in the car, and then an assistant director. It's the way the teams are structured now and the availability on staff, it's not that big of a deal. They all have their races. And it's not overloaded. I do think that what really is demanding on certain directors is the training camps. They do a lot of training camps, and that's another Grand Tour, right? It's another Grand Tour. You're always in the same place, but you are away from home, right?
If you do 3 altitude camps, it's 3 more Grand Tours, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a really good point. These camps are, I think a lot of people I know, they're like, what's the big deal? Just go to altitude camp. It's like, well, that's a lot of money, first of all, for the team. And then, it's a lot of strain on the personnel and on the riders. You're going to spend 3 weeks away from your family.
Logistically, usually these camps are not, easy accessible. It's a far travel. You have to bring vehicles. It's hard on the staff. But in terms of race program, the way the sport is organized nowadays, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. And it's all decided before the season already. Okay, you take care of the classics. Mm-hmm. You take care of of this group of riders. Okay, you go with Pogacar. You go with this rider. It's all predetermined.
Do a lot of directors live in the same area, like Girona, Nice, or are they just kind of spread out around Europe? I think they're generally
more or less spread out. Yeah.
Yeah. Got to be European based, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, as a professional cyclist, you have to be European based. There's no other.
Didn't always used to be that way, though, right?
Yeah. When they all, obviously all the Americans on my teams, they all had a base in Europe.
Yeah.
For the season, they either had a house or rented a house, but you have to be in Europe. 90% of the calendar is in Europe.
I don't know how much. I definitely know a few American cyclists who try to spend as little time as possible in Europe.
I know a few of those too.
Not helpful to their careers. I mean, I was talking to an American who is so dialed in. He said he only comes back to the U.S. once a year because he thinks it's such a drain on like resources and training and takes him off his game so much. So I would say, yeah, there's little time as you could spend in the U.S. Probably.
Is that Matteo Jorgensen?
It's not Matteo, but he probably is roughly around that. I mean, he's in Nice almost all the time. Well, you have anything else, Johan? I think I've exhausted everything I can from this week.
We've covered most of whatever's going on in pro cycling right now.
Yeah, and we'll be back not on Monday. We'll be back on Friday to talk about the Tour Down Under will finish. Jay Vine's going to win. Navarez will get second. Mauro Schmidt's probably going to get third. And we will be talking about other races that happen after that as well.
Okay, Spencer. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.